for a total of 7 years.
Okay. And if you don't mind sharing, what was your salary?
In the beginning, through high school, I started out at $6.25 an hour.
Was that minimum wage at the time, or was that above it?
That was 25 cents above minimum wage in Connecticut.
Okay.
And then after college, I quit.
Okay.
And I graduated in 2000 something. I started working for Wal-Mart again, but on the Sam's Club side, and I did that for 4 years. And I came in as a manager there.
Okay. What was your recruitment for a manager? What was that like? Was it different since you had worked there previously, or were you considered someone from outside?
I was considered someone from outside because I didn't apply for the job. They saw me at a job fair trying to get people to sign up at a Walgreens table, and they liked the way I did that. And the guy hired me on the spot. And a month later, I came in as a manager. So I didn't go through the recruiting process as normal people would, but this is how it would go. You would, of course, apply for it. And if you did get in after going through several interviews, then you would go through the MIT program, which is the Management and Training Program. And on the Sam's Club side, what you would do is, if you were going for specific management, which is if you're dealing with clothing, foods, cashiering, if that's what you're specifically doing, you would only train in that specific area. And then they would take you to the best store that did this particular job the best way, and they would train you there. Of course, all expenses is paid for, and that's how you did the MIT program. After that, then you would interview for a particular store that you might be a manager in.
Was it the same was the process the same for someone who wanted to be a manager of a whole store?
Yes and no. It's the same process. However, you would have to be a manager pretty much in every single area in order to become, in the Sam's Club, it would be the general manager. On the Wal-Mart side, they were called store manager. But you would have to be able to manage every single part of the store, which includes the back of the house, which is the accounting.
So, were store managers ever recruited, or that you know of, recruited out from the outside, or were people always promoted from within?
Most of the time, it was from within.
Okay. What would the prize? Okay, I'll just leave it at that. All right. You didn't say what your salary was when you were a manager.
Okay, so for my starting salary, when I came in as a manager, I came in as a Merch 1. Back then, that was anything edible. So for coming in right out of, considered to be right out of college, I started at $38 a year. When I left Sam's Club, I was making $68 a year.
Okay. Wow. And how much time was that?
It was within 4 years.
So did you get, how were raises decided? Is it merit or performance or?
Mm-hmm. The system changed completely now, but back then what happened was you were able to get bonuses, and when you're going through the MIT program, you're still at an hourly rate. So you're coming in at an hourly rate. So if you're doing any overtime, then you're getting paid for the overtime as well. When you start as a manager, you're starting as a salary. After you get considered to be hired in your home store, then you start your salary. When you start your salary, you're at, what's the word am I looking for?
Meaning?
Your base rate. You start at your base rate. So it's a different when you're in MIT and when you get hired as a manager. So you're automatically starting at that manager's salary. So if I'm coming in when I came in at 48, when I started as a manager, I'm starting at 52. So my first year review, when I got my bonus, it was $5,000 because my store did really great. And then as you're working really, really hard and you're making more money and you're selling more items and you're pushing more items, the more items you push to sell and get out the door, the more your store makes, the more business memberships you sell, the more membership you sell on Sam's Club sides, it's 100% revenue. It's just 100% money.
Right.
So all of that goes right back into your store.
Right.
And so the bonuses at the end of the fiscal year is larger. Of course, it's larger for the managers than it is for your regular employees, but they also get a bonus on the Sam's Club side, not the Walmart side, the Sam's Club side.
Well, what did the Sam's Club employees get bonuses for?
For their services. So, for instance,
like for performance.
Yes, and this is every employee. So, for instance, let's say that my store made $1 million in profit. So the way how that money is split up is the manager is going to get out of this particular cut. And then, of course, the general manager would get the highest cut, and then all of his assistants would get this, a particular amount. Now, the associates, they would get out of this cut. And the way how that goes is based on your hourly rate, not your hourly rate, based on the hours that you work. So let's say if you are a full-time worker and you work 37.5 hours a week on average, then you're going to get, the maximum amount. If you're a part-time and you only work maybe 15 hours, then you might get, a smaller amount.
So what your bonus is, if you're an hourly associate, would depend upon how many hours you work. You have a percentage based on the number of hours.
Yes.
Okay. But that does not exist in Walmart stores.
No. My first year that I was at a Walmart store in Connecticut, the store manager was the only one that got a bonus. And he decided whether or not if he wanted to share it with his employees, and he decided not to do so. So,
Now, I'm sure that having worked there and just me knowing you and knowing that you're a very astute person pays close attention to things that in current events and things. I'm sure you've heard some of the quote unquote Walmart bashing, probably some from me, about, some of the discrimination, of course, the class action suit and low wages and different things of that nature. Without me asking a specific question, what's your take on it?
Well,
being on the inside, I'm sure you would have a very different viewpoint than somebody from the outside.
I do have a different view from the outside, but my views are kind of mixed, so It's kind of controversial.
That's
because the Walmart store itself can do a lot better. The Walmart store itself can do a lot better as far as helping out their employees. Their claim is that Sam Walton, created Walmart so that the average people can have these luxury things, but for an average person's salary. And he wanted everyone that was a part of this quote-unquote family to be able to benefit, including their employees. What has happened now is not the case. It's such a huge industry where the big guys at the top are making all this money and driving these wonderful cars, and the people at the bottom are still at the bottom. There's hardly any room for improvement. Your raises are 30 cents a year. At the most, it's probably 60 cents a year.
No kidding.
I'm not kidding you. So you work all year round, and the most you can possibly get is 60 cents.
And that's a person company who is doing their best. That's not a slacker employee. No, that's the best employee in your store can get a 60 cents raise. Go from making $7 an hour to $7.60. And that's a merit raise.
Yeah. And then the discounts that you get on the Walmart side, it's only 10%. So, I mean, the Gap gives you 25%, 20%.
So you, because you both work for, so technically Walmart and Sam's Club are the same company, but you're saying how they treat their employees is drastically different.
Different. It's so different to the point where Sam's Club have their own lingo. You know, they
different than Walmart.
They actually came up with a communication book, how we actually speak to each other. And then on the Sam's Club side, because there is no commercials, there is no flyers going out, there is no, twice a year you'll see a flyer from Memorial Day because, we want to sell beds. Or you'll see there's another time that they go out and they're pushing Sealy's mattress. But it's mainly just twice a year. If you're a member, then you'll get like the booklets every month.
Right.
But there is no advertising for Sam's Club. So in order for them to make their money, they have to make these sales. They have to actually go into the communities. They have to go to the mom and pop store and really convince these mom and pop store, like, listen, I really want to keep you open. This is how I can keep you open.
So what you're saying, it sounds like what you're saying is, which I'm sure you've probably heard me say, that Walmart puts, and you've probably heard it on the news too, Walmart puts mom and pop stores out of business, but you're saying Sam Clubs needs those stores to stay open.
They do.
Huh. So kind of their push is different a little bit.
The push is different because in order for Sam's Club to stay afloat, they need these stores because these are the stores
to come
that
and
they're
buy
catering
in
to.
bulk.
Mm-hmm. They're really not catering to the quote-unquote CEO moms. The
right.
moms that work, the moms that, take their kids to soccer, the moms that are very involved in their community. They cater to them as well, but the bulk of their money, the bulk of their business comes from small businesses. So if they're running out of business, then it's a huge problem.
Now, let me ask you this. From what I saw in the benefits packages available for Walmart associates now, at least. Mm-hmm. Now, I can't speak for Pennsylvania, but I'll bet it's probably the same. I did an interview with someone who works in Delaware, and he's not eligible for medical coverage until he's been an employee for a year. Mm-hmm. Are the benefits
part-time or full-time?
I don't know.
Okay.
I think he's considered part-time. So someone gets hired. Yeah, that was a question that I had. And since you're a manager, you would probably know. But let me finish this question, then I'll ask that one. Sam's Club associates. Are they called associates or are they called something
associates,
else? Okay. Is it the same for them?
Pretty much, I think the way it is now, the benefits package is pretty much the same pretty much all the way around now. I haven't been with Sam's Club for about 4 years now. But when I was on my way out, they were changing everything up. And but what's happening is when you come in as a part-time worker, normally after, I don't remember if it was either 30 or 90 days when you qualify for your medical and your benefits. As a part-time worker, you didn't have the same benefits as a full-time worker.
Okay.
It was different. You did have to work a certain amount of time. I can't give you.
Now here's my question. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. I hate to cut you off, but I'm trying to keep the time because I know you and me, we could go on for hours.
I know we
can. When I saw that, and I know that, and then I also saw on a Walmart website, I think it was on WalmartStores.com, it said that the average pay rate for a Pennsylvania employee is like $11.27. It said full time. So what I wondered is, do you have any idea how many people are actually hired full time? Because from what I hear from people, a lot of people are kept just under, they're working 30 hours or 32 hours. They're working just not quite enough to be full time. How many people are actually, or from your experience, from what you remember and from talking to people, how many people are actually, like in a store, how many people would be full time and how many people would be part time?
Well, on the Walmart side, I don't know.
Okay.
I was in high school and I did through college. But on the Sam's Club side, when I had to do the hiring, I would hire exactly what it was that I needed. And I needed my core full-time people. So, I would if I needed 5, I would hire 5. And if they were full-time, they had to work full-time hours, which was at the least 37.5 hours. It was a must in order to consider to be full-time.
So at Sam's Club, it was preferable to have full-time people, but the way that you do business is very different.
But you needed both. And then you started off at a higher pay grade at Sam's than you did at Walmart. At Walmart, you're starting off just above minimum wage.
And that's the typical.
That's typical all over the country.